You ever notice how your dog gets more excited to see you than your wife does? I'm serious.
I missed you
Your dog
too.
literally loses his mind when you walk through the door after work. Meanwhile, your wife barely glances up from her phone, and if she does
How many
acknowledge you,
times do we
it's
have to
usually
go
to
over
ask about
this?
something you forgot to do.
The cho-
Here's the crazy part. It wasn't always like this. Remember when you first started dating? She used to light up when you entered a room. She'd laugh at your terrible jokes. She'd brag about you to her friends. Now? Now she rolls her eyes when you speak and corrects you in front of the kids like you're another child who can't get anything right. So what happened? Did you gain a few pounds? Did you forget an anniversary? Did you work too much or not make enough money? No. The truth is much simpler and much more painful. Somewhere along the way, you stopped being a man in her eyes and became something else. A roommate who helps with bills, a babysitter who happens to live there, a servant who occasionally gets to sleep in her bed. And the worst part? You probably helped this happen without even realizing it.
I told you not to do
Let me
that,
tell you about my
James.
buddy
Why don't you
James.
ever listen to
Good
me?
guy, solid job in IT, decent income, takes care of his family. About 6 months ago, he starts noticing his wife Sarah has gotten really into TikTok. She's watching these videos constantly, relationship coaches, lifestyle influencers, that girl morning routines. James thinks nothing of it. He's happy she has hobbies. Then one night at dinner, Sarah looks at James and says, "Why don't you ever surprise me anymore?" James is confused. He brought her coffee in bed that morning. He picked up her favorite takeout on the way home. "What do you mean?" he asks. Sarah shows him a video of some guy who organized a surprise picnic for his girlfriend with a string quartet. This is romance. What you do is expected. Expected. That word hit James like a truck. Everything he did, all the little daily acts of love, had become invisible because they couldn't
I
compete
never
with a
thought I'd find
carefully
someone like
staged TikTok
you.
video that probably took 3 hours
the
to
exact
plan
same
and
way.
required a film crew. This is the new reality for married men. You're not competing with real people anymore. You're competing with highlights, with fantasy, with algorithms designed to make people feel like they're missing out on something better. Your wife watches hundreds of these moments every day, and slowly, without even realizing it, her brain starts asking, "Why isn't my husband like this?" But here's where it gets really interesting. I
So
started
tell
asking
me,
women, divorced women, unhappily married women, women who were
Well,
brutally
it
honest,
all started.
what actually killed their respect for their husbands. And their answers shocked me. None of them said, "He didn't make enough money," or "He gained weight," or "He forgot my birthday." Instead, they said things like, "He never disagreed with me about anything important. He let me walk all over him. He became too soft. He stopped having his own opinions." One woman told me, "I asked him where he wanted to go for dinner, and he said, 'Wherever you want.' For the 100th time, and I realized I didn't respect someone who couldn't even have an opinion about food." Think about that. These women lost respect for their husbands not because the men did something wrong, but because they tried too hard to be right, to be agreeable, accommodating, perfect. If you're finding value in these insights about relationships, please hit that like button and subscribe to Couple Code YouTube channel. We're building a community of people who want real talk about real relationships. Now, I want to share something that happened to me personally. I was married once, early 20s, thought I knew everything about relationships. My ex-wife, Lisa, was constantly upset about something. So I became the ultimate problem solver. She complains about her job, I spend hours helping her redo her resume. She's tired, I take over all the housework. She's stressed, I cancel plans with my friends to stay home and comfort her. I genuinely thought I was being an amazing husband. I was sacrificing, compromising, putting her needs first. All the things you're supposed to do, right? One day, after about 2 years of marriage, Lisa comes home and just stares at me. I'm folding laundry, something I'd started doing because she mentioned once that she didn't like doing it, and she says, "When did you stop being fun?" I'm confused. "What do you mean? I'm helping you." She shakes her head. "That's the problem. You're always helping me like I'm a project to be managed. You don't have your own life anymore. You don't do anything unless it's for me or about me." In that moment, I realized I'd disappeared. The guy she fell in love with, the one who had hobbies, opinions, friends, plans, had slowly dissolved into this support system. I thought I was being selfless, but what I'd actually become was shapeless. A person with no edges, no boundaries, no identity outside of husband. 3 months later, she left. And you know what the final straw was? She met someone at a work conference. A guy who, by her own admission,
It is a
was
little bit.
kind of arrogant and doesn't always listen. She left her supportive, devoted husband for someone who occasionally annoyed her, because annoying meant he had an actual personality. Here's what nobody tells you about marriage. Women don't want a butler. They don't want a yes man. They don't want someone whose entire identity revolves around making them happy.
You
They want
seriously
a
think
partner,
that's how it happened?
someone who pushes back sometimes, who
Absolutely,
has
you're
their own
forgetting the most
dreams, who can
important
say
part.
no without apologizing for 3 days. But modern culture has convinced men that the path to a woman's heart is through total submission. Be more emotional, be more available, be more understanding, share your feelings, cry on movies, ask her opinion on everything, never make her uncomfortable, never disagree, never have needs.
It's creating generations of men who are technically doing everything right while their marriages slowly die. I know what some of you are thinking, but communication is important. Being sensitive is good. And you're right, but there's a massive difference between being emotionally mature and being emotionally dependent on your wife's approval for every single decision you make. My neighbor Tom, perfect example. His wife tells him she wants him to be more involved with their kids' school.
Right here.
Great idea, right? So Tom joins the PTA, volunteers for field trips, helps organize the spring fair. He's crushing it. But instead of being happy, his wife seems annoyed. One day she snaps at him. "Can you make any decision without checking with me first?" Tom is baffled. "But you told me to be more involved." "I told you to be involved," she says, "not to become my shadow who needs my approval for everything." See the trap? Tom did exactly what she asked, but in doing so, he proved that he couldn't lead, couldn't decide, couldn't function without her constant direction. She didn't want a participant, she wanted a partner who could figure things out independently. The really messed up part? Sometimes women don't even know what they're asking for. They've been so influenced by social media, by relationship content, by their friends' complaints, that they genuinely believe they want a man who never challenges them, never has needs, never makes things difficult. But deep down, human attraction hasn't changed in thousands of years. Women are attracted to strength, not physical strength necessarily, but the strength to have boundaries, to have standards, to have a life that exists independent of her approval. And when a man loses that strength, when he becomes this malleable thing that bends to every breeze, attraction dies and respect goes with it. If this is resonating with you and you want more honest content about relationships, please subscribe to Couple Code YouTube channel and turn on notifications. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I got married. Your wife's happiness is not your responsibility. I know that sounds harsh, but hear me out. You can't make someone happy. Happiness is an inside job. What you can do is be the best version of you and let her decide if that's enough for her. When you take responsibility for her emotional state, you set up an impossible dynamic. Because now every time she's upset, you feel like you failed. So you scramble to fix it. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. You change your behavior. You walk on eggshells. And
Controlled
gradually,
by moods.
she loses respect because you're essentially telling her that her moods control your entire life. The guys I know who have genuinely happy marriages, they're not the ones constantly asking, "Are you okay? What's wrong? What can I do?" They're the ones who maintain their own center, who have their own purpose, who are present but not dependent. My friend Marcus has been married 15 years. I asked him once what his secret was. He laughed and said, "I love my wife, but I don't need her approval to exist. When she's upset about something, I'll listen, I'll support her, but I don't let her bad day become my bad day." She actually told me once that's what she loves most about me.
I'm steady. I don't crumble when she's emotional. That's the key. Being steady doesn't mean being cold or uncaring. It means having an unshakable sense of self-worth that doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's mood. Look, I get it. You love your wife. You want her to be happy. But if you've noticed the signs, if she doesn't ask your opinion anymore, if she corrects you in public, if physical intimacies become rare or non-existent, if she seems constantly disappointed, then something needs to change. And that something is probably you. Not because you're bad or wrong, but because you've likely lost yourself in the process of trying to be the perfect husband. And nobody can respect someone who has no self. The good news? This can change. But it requires you to stop performing, stop seeking approval, and start remembering who you were before you believed your worth was determined by how well you could please someone else. So here's my question for you. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself without wondering if your wife would approve? And if you can't remember, what does that tell you about where you are right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear your perspective on this.